I never thought I'd say this, but the dog I almost refused to meet became the reason I wake up every morning with a smile. When the rescue coordinator first called me about Leo, a partially deaf golden retriever puppy who'd been rejected by 3 families, I literally said no before she even finished her sentence. I had just lost my senior dog Max 2 months earlier, and my apartment still felt too quiet, too empty. The last thing I wanted was to fill that space with another heartbreak waiting to happen. But Sarah, the rescue coordinator, she's persistent. She texted me a photo at 11 p.m. that night, and there he was, this scraggly golden fluff ball with one ear standing up and one flopped down, looking directly at the camera with these huge brown eyes that seemed to say, "Please." I stared at that photo for probably 20 minutes. My rational brain kept saying no, but something else, something deeper, whispered, "Just meet him." If you're still not subscribed after hearing how this story unfolds, I don't know what will convince you, but I hope Leo's journey changes your mind the way he changed mine. So I agreed to a meet and greet at the rescue, telling myself it was just to satisfy my curiosity. When I walked into that room, Leo was in the corner, not running up to me like the other dogs. He just sat there, watching, waiting. I learned later that because of his partial deafness, he'd learned to read body language and energy instead of relying on sounds. I knelt down about 5 feet away from him and just waited. That's when it happened. He slowly walked toward me, each step careful and deliberate. And when he finally reached me, he didn't jump or lick my face. He just leaned his entire body weight against my legs and let out this deep sigh, like he'd been holding his breath his whole life. And I swear, in that moment, something inside my chest just cracked wide open. The rescue told me his story. Leo was born on a puppy mill that got raided. He and his siblings were severely neglected, underweight, sick, scared of everything. His partial deafness made him less desirable to potential adopters. 3 families had taken him home on trial adoptions, and all 3 returned him within a week. The reasons varied. Too anxious, doesn't respond to commands, just not what we expected. Each rejection had made him more withdrawn, more uncertain. I brought him home that same day. I told myself it was still just fostering, just temporary until they found him the right family. The first night was brutal. Leo wouldn't eat. He wouldn't settle. He just paced around my apartment, bumping into furniture, clearly disoriented and stressed. Around 2 a.m., I found him curled up in Max's old bed, the one I couldn't bring myself to put away. He was shaking, and when I sat down next to him, he crawled into my lap, all 45 pounds of him, and finally closed his eyes. Teaching Leo to trust was like learning a completely new language. Because he couldn't hear certain frequencies, I had to use hand signals for everything. Sit, stay, come, good boy. I spent hours every day just sitting with him, showing him that I wasn't going anywhere, that this time would be different. Some days were incredible, like when he finally started playing with toys, or when he learned to respond to the vibration of my footsteps on the floor. Other days were heartbreaking, like when a loud noise he could partially hear would send him cowering under the bed for hours. But slowly, over weeks and then months, I watched this anxious, shut-down puppy transform into the most expressive, joyful dog I'd ever known. He developed his own ways of communicating with me. A specific head tilt meant, "I'm hungry." A paw on my leg meant, "I need to go out." A full body wiggle meant, "I love you more than anything in this world." The turning point came about 4 months in. I had started bringing Leo to a special needs dog socialization group at a local training facility. There was another deaf dog there, a Dalmatian named Pepper, And watching them play together, communicating in their own silent language of body movements and expressions, made me realize something profound. Leo wasn't broken. He wasn't less than. He was just different, and his difference made him extraordinary. What really surprised me was how much Leo taught me about myself. Before him, I was always rushing to work, rushing through conversations, rushing through life. But Leo lives in a quieter world, and being with him forced me to slow down, to be present, to notice the small things. The way sunlight moves across the living room floor, the feeling of grass under our feet during evening walks, the pure contentment of just existing next to someone you love. People often ask me if having a special needs dog is hard. And yes, there are challenges. I can't just call his name from another room. I have to be more intentional about how I move around him so I don't startle him. Training took longer and required more patience. But here's what I tell them. Every dog requires effort and adaptation. Leo just made me more aware of mine. He's also become something of a local celebrity in our neighborhood. Kids come up specifically to meet the dog who talks with his paws. I've had parents thank me for letting their children interact with Leo because it taught them that being different doesn't mean being less capable. One little girl with hearing aids told her mom that seeing Leo made her feel like a superhero with special powers. I ugly cried in the parking lot after that. Now, a year and a half later, I can't imagine my life without this dog. He's not my second chance at Max. He's his own incredible soul who came into my life exactly when I needed him, even though I didn't know it. He sleeps sprawled across my bed every night. He greets me at the door every evening with that full body wiggle. He's learned over 60 hand signals and can even differentiate between your ball and your rope. The rescue recently told me they've used Leo's story to help place 7 other special needs dogs. They show potential adopters our photos and videos, prove that these overlooked animals aren't projects or burdens. They're companions who will love you fiercer and truer than you ever thought possible. Last week, Sarah, the rescue coordinator, called me. Another deaf puppy had come in, a Labrador mix who'd been returned twice. She asked if I'd consider fostering. I laughed and said, "Sarah, you know I can't foster. I failed the first time, remember?" But I went to meet the puppy anyway. Her name is Luna, and she's currently asleep on the couch next to Leo, who's taken his role as big brother very seriously. So here's my question for you. Do you believe that we choose our dogs, or do they choose us? Because I was convinced I didn't want Leo, but looking back, I think he knew I needed him more than anything. Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your stories.